charities use crowdfunding to build public support for specific projects or entire organizations. For more on this, we're joined by Bill Strathmann, CEO, Network for Good. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Phil.
This isn't new, but it feels new because you can give money online, but now there's a way I can say, look, I've got this charitable project that I want to fund, put it on the website. Everybody, please help me. How big is this ultimately going to be?
It could be very large, but let me just be clear on the three types of crowdfunding we're talking about. So, as you mentioned, there's kind of consumer crowdfunding, let's call it, where somebody's raising money for something like a project. Maybe they want to make a film and they're selling equity, for example. Then there's cause-based fundraising, as your piece just covered. And there are two kinds of cause-based crowdfunding. One might be for an individual who wants to cover medical expenses. Another might be, and it's going to their bank account. Another might be for a charity, where the charity is benefiting and the money is going directly to the charity's account.
How do we know, you know where I'm going with this question, is, you know, how do we prevent fraud, essentially?
Yeah. Well, so there are kind of three ways I can think of. So if we're talking about cause-based crowdfunding, where you're trying to benefit a good cause, whether it's an individual or a charity, obviously if you're giving to a charity's bank account, there are easy, tried and true ways online to validate the charity is a legitimate charity and in the good standing with the IRS. So if you check on the crowdfunding campaign, you can see whether it's benefiting a charity directly versus going to an individual's account. So that's one way. The other is often when you're doing a crowdfunding campaign, you're usually going to know the person in their network. That's the little secret about crowdfunding is a lot of
they're friends of friends. They're not complete strangers, right?
Exactly. So the little secret about crowdfunding is that a lot of people think that it's kind of if you build it, they will come, and it's not. Most times, it is bring your own network, right? So they supply the technology and the place for you to have the crowdfunding campaign, but you got to bring your own network. So I wouldn't recommend to charities that they just create a campaign on a crowdfunding site and expect the money to flow in.
I mean, if I want to sell Girl Scout cookies, for example, I don't want to create a cause and have people...
Well, so that's funny you should say that, because I was going to use it as an example. I mean, crowdfunding has actually been around for a while. Girl Scout cookies are a great example of crowdfunding, right?
Yeah, we have a couple of folks in the office with kids, and they come and they try to sell the cookies.
Right?
I get that.
Right? It's Samoas. So, but the point is now the technology has enabled us to do that on a much larger global basis, right? So you can now your Girl Scout cookie campaigns are on steroids, and that's a real important point here. Is that the technology now has enabled something that charities have been doing for a long time. The consumer crowdfunding is new, and it's kind of made the charity-based crowdfunding sexy again. But charities have been doing this for a long time, and it's a great way to raise money from your supporters.
But let's take another example. Let's say I break my leg and I can't pay for the hospital bill.
Right.
So I'm saying, hey, Bill, you're my friend. Help me out. I need to raise $1,000 to pay for my medical bills.
Right.
Where does that come in? Because it's not tax deductible. Essentially, you're just giving money away, right? So it's very different than charity.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all empathic human beings, right? And the number one and two reasons people give to charity is that they have a personal connection or their friends and family ask them to do so, okay? So I think the same applies when we're helping others, right? We're just empathic beings. And so the great thing about crowdfunding is that you leverage not only your network, but your network's network. And so it has that multiplier effect. And so, yes, it is a riskier proposition from a fraud standpoint when it's not benefiting a specific charity, but in most cases, you're going to have some degree of connection. And even if you don't, there are a lot of ways to check out the trust of a network that you're entering into for the first time.
Well, look, I got an email the other day saying that somebody was in jail in Africa and they needed money to help get somebody out. Look, I mean, there are a lot of scams out there, right? And,
yeah.
And unfortunately, people are very good in general, but there are bad individuals who want to take advantage of that. How can we protect ourselves? Is there an agency that overlooks it? Whose job is it to sort of watch over the bad guys?
Yeah, well, so don't give your bank account, Phil, to the person from another country asking for that. That's a safe bet. But listen, there aren't any specific consumer protection agencies that have been spun up yet to oversee crowdfunding. it's under the purview of the existing consumer protection agencies that exist. From the charitable side, there are some advantages because there are organizations where you can go online. GuideStar is a site where you can go and check to see if a charity is a legitimate charity. And so if you are giving to one where it's a charity, you can do your homework.
You got to do your homework, basically.
You got to do your homework.
It's not so simple just to give money.
You know, the Latin expression, caveat emptor, buyer beware. Now it's funder beware.
Yeah. All right. Well, I wish there was more to do to protect consumers and people who want to give, because it's a very important thing, obviously. Bill, thank you very much. Good to have you here.
My pleasure. Thanks.